Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about two things. One, Donald Trump has decided that he's going to play a part in the South Asian drama and the tensions that are rising between India and Pakistan as a result of the horrible terrorist attacks by what India calls as Pakistan supported terrorists in Pahalgam. The attack was horrible. It targeted Hindus primarily and killed 26 people, one from Nepal, 25 from India. One of the persons who died was Muslims, but the others were all targeted because they were Hindus. So this horrible attack has created anger and called for revenge against particularly Pakistan. The Indian government has accused the Pakistani government of being behind the terrorists who attacked in Pahalgam. And so there has been, as we have already discussed in several conversations, escalation from both sides. India suspending a treaty, expelling Pakistanis, and so on. But there seems to be a build-up towards a potential military attack by India on Pakistan. The signals are very clear coming from the Modi government, and in their diplomatic discussions, it's apparent that India is planning something massive. I did a conversations previously based on reporting from New York Times that it is quite possible that India wants a spectacular response to what happened in Pahalgam. But meanwhile, the United States has decided that it will intervene and reduce the tensions between the two countries, calling for restraint and trying to suggest that they reconcile without escalating further on. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is Marco Rubio's phone call to Dr. Jaishankar and Shahbaz Sharif and what its implications are, especially for the trade deal that India is discussing with the United States right now. And it's quite possible that in the next 2 or 3 days, a bilateral trade agreement between India and the US will be announced. The Trump administration is under tremendous pressure at home to start announcing that it has achieved trade agreements with many countries on which reciprocal tariffs had been imposed and then suspended. The second thing that I want to talk about is this massive defensive move that Prime Minister Modi has come up with, a very incredible effort by the Modi government to defend the BJP in the aftermath of the Pahalgam attacks and the questions that are being raised about the efficacy of Indian intelligence, about Indian security, because what happened in Pahalgam was clearly a major failure of intelligence, failure of security. There were absolutely nobody there. The terrorists had free hand for an extended period of time to do whatever they wanted. And there are being questions raised about India's intelligence failures on several occasions with regards to Bangladesh, with regards to transnational repression, with what happened with regard to the Panno Gate in the US, Niger Gate in Canada, and so on. And also questions about the failure of Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy in South Asia. India seems to have hardly any good relations with hardly any country in the region, that is South Asia, which is also called as the Indian subcontinent. So in response to that, the Modi government has taken a major step. I mean, it is I guess everybody in the country must be clapping at what the Modi government has done. And I will talk about the second thing that the Modi government has done shortly. But before that, please subscribe to the channel Conversations if you have not already done so. Like this video, press the bell icon so you get intimated about my future posts. And don't forget to share this with your socio-political network. So the first thing, Donald Trump on Truth Social, he's now the social media of his choice, which he also owns in many, he literally owns it, has announced that he's close to both India and Pakistan, and he would like to see the tensions go down. Has called on India to act with restraint. The US has basically said two things: that one, that they support India, they stand with India, they condemn terrorism in all its forms. They are, obviously, the United States is also against terrorism. It has been fighting a global war on terror since 9/11. So when it comes to condemnation of terrorism and support for terrorism and support for counterterrorism, all U.S. administrations have been very supportive of countries who are targets of terrorism and also are fighting them. So in that sense, there is no equivocation, there is no doubt that the Trump administration is firmly behind India. But they do not want to see an escalation. I mean, they're willing to help India do whatever is necessary to fight the terrorists, but taking it to the next level, which is to target Pakistan and increase the possibility of a war, which could ultimately even reach the nuclear threshold, is something that Donald Trump does not want to see. Nobody wants to see that. A war like that will simply drive away investments from the region. It will hurt the economies. It will be a long time for those economies, both India and Pakistan, to recover from a war in the region. And certainly, nobody is going to go and start investing in countries which are destabilized both internally and in the region. Uh, so, what did Trump actually do? Now, you must recognize that while people in India might be resenting this and saying that Donald Trump is interfering and is trying to prevent India from doing what the US would have done in a similar situation, you must also realize that it's a big risk for Donald Trump himself. He is right now, this will be the third major conflict that he's entering and trying to make peace. And so far, the record has not been very good. He bragged during the campaign that he would stop the war within 24 hours between Russia and Ukraine. It's 102 days, and there is no effective ceasefire. I mean, there's one that Putin has called for unilaterally, but that is not something that the United States has brokered. Yes, today or a few hours ago, Zelensky signed a minerals deal with the United States, which kind of increases the United States' stake in Ukraine, which could lead to U.S. ultimately providing some kind of security guarantees to Ukraine. But so far, Donald Trump, with all his talk about bringing about peace within 24 hours, has failed in 122 days to bring about ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. This is of probably the highest priority to the Western world as well as to the United States, which has invested nearly $200 billion in that war. And then Donald Trump has talked about bringing about ceasefire in Gaza instantly and ending, well, Israel broke the ceasefire. It's continuing violence. There are deaths every day in Gaza. We were talking about how Gaza was going to become a Riviera and Donald Trump was going to basically remove all Palestinians from Gaza and rebuild Gaza. Well, there is nothing that has happened there in 102 days except pronouncements. So, as far as Donald Trump's peacemaking track record is at the moment, it's not very good. It's 0 for 2. So now he's entering another highly contested, historically, shall we say, complicated conflict zone between India and Pakistan. And it will be now his third attempt. Will he be successful here? Now, chances are that Donald Trump, if the goal is minimum to make sure that India does not start a war with Pakistan, I think the chances are he might be successful and might be able to actually take credit for it, because the United India is at the moment desperately trying to get a bilateral deal with the United States before reciprocal tariffs jump in. It will be sometime in July 20th probably. It's 3 months from April when it was suspended. So India does not want to be caught because it would really impact India's exports. It would impact India's GDP growth and basically slow down India's economy if India is unable to export to the United States. The exports in goods and especially pharmaceuticals and others have now overall reached about $190 million last year. So there's a pretty good chance that India could suffer 20 to $30 billion reduction in exports if the reciprocal tariffs really kick in. And there are other opportunities to India, because if the bilateral trade agreement goes ahead, India then can move forward as becoming essentially a replacement for China in the supply chain for the United States. We are seeing that shift already with regards to Apple, as Apple has decided instead of making only 20% of iPhones in India, it is working with Tata and Foxconn to ensure that 100% of all iPhones are now going to be made in India, primarily because the the tariff rates on India could be very negligible if the trade agreement goes through. So very profitable for Apple. Or even if the trade agreement doesn't come through with India, the tariff rate is just 26% on India, and at the moment it is about 145% on China. So while Apple went around the tariff by importing tons. Literally, they say 6 tons of iPhones from India to the US. So it does have some stockpiles to sell for and has a few months to adjust. So so I think that given this trade implications, it is quite possible that India might be unwilling to displease Donald Trump and reject his overtures on security matters, even though there's a lot of pressure on the Modi government to do something big with regards to Pakistan. The Indus Valley Treaty, really the abeyance of that treaty is not really a very big deal because India does not have the infrastructure capacity to really prevent the water from going. It will take about 15, 20 years to build the dams that are necessary to completely block off the water, and it is not really a good look for India, which wants to become a moral example to the rest of the world. So it's going to be interesting to see to what extent India accommodates the United States' request that they scale down the rhetoric and basically calm down to both India and Pakistan. In discussions with Dr. Jaishankar, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State of the United States, essentially expressed strong support for India and condemnation of terrorism and support against terrorism, but also essentially said that let's not escalate this to basically a situation where we are facing a potential war between the two regions. He did talk to the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also, and essentially basically said dial down the tensions. Shehbaz Sharif also requested Jaishankar to talk to India and essentially reduce India's high decibel rhetoric against Pakistan. The entire country is just raging and baying for blood with regards to Pakistan. It is quite interesting as to how, at one level, people talk about the culture of tolerance and acceptance in India and sympathy, and then at the prospects of basically depriving an entire country of drinking water, people seem to be quite excited about it. So anyway, so we will see what happens to what extent. And like I have discussed in the past, a military strike on Pakistan is not that easy, given the extent to which China has extended support to Pakistan. Literally, Wang Yi's discussions with Dar, Pakistan's foreign minister, was very clear that China is going to defend, or rather support Pakistan in its defense of its sovereignty and territorial integrity. And they did condemn terrorism, but they also said that that Pakistan is an important all-weather friend, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be very complicated for India, which right now is facing security challenges on two fronts with China in Ladakh as well as Assam, and that the tensions with Bangladesh, which means that India has to deploy lots of anti-aircraft batteries, S-400s near the Siliguri corridor. And now this would be another tension because the ceasefire with Pakistan since 2021 has now ended, and there is already live fire across the line of control going on for the past 6-7 days. So the security situation is not very clear. I have little faith in the mainstream Indian media. The coverage is really rhetorical, and they're all like, they're like, I don't know, BJP and ABVP to like students sloganeering. So, for example, there is no media coverage on whether India is mobilizing forces. If it's planning a major attack, there should be mobilization of forces because it'll have to move assets from its western front, eastern fronts to the western front. Is that happening? Are there more troops moving towards the line of control? Is Air Force mobilizing? We have heard about exercises by the Navy, but that's all. And then, of course, meetings that Prime Minister Modi has been holding with the military officers and his national security cabinet and so on. But other than that, we do not see any preparation for a military strike. So either it's going to be a small, low-level strike, surgical kind of thing, which can be done very secretively rather than a massive attack or an invasion. So that's for the first point. Let's see what happens with regards to Donald Trump's third attempt at making peace and bringing about an end to conflict in the world politics. The second thing is Prime Minister Modi's government's response to criticism. What is a big thing that they have done, I guess, in the last 48 hours? They haven't caught any of the terrorists who have been loose for now 8 or 9 days. It's astonishing with all the talk, with all the technology, all the drones that are available to India, the much touted Indian intelligence, raw security, NIAs on the case from the day two onwards. They haven't yet found the terrorists, which is quite embarrassing, I guess, suppose, for the Modi government. But what they have done is they have banned conversations or blocked conversations in India. Now, this is a big, big step for Modi government. I'm sure everybody in India must be very impressed by this move. They have blocked this channel, so you can't see this in India unless you're using a VPN. And individual videos, some individual videos are also blocked, but the channel itself is blocked. So if you go and look for conversation, it says that this has been blocked. So those who are in India will not be able to see this channel, but that's fine. Yes, about half or a little more than half of those videos which I was making in Hindi, about 60 to 68% viewers were coming from India. The rest are global, and for the English videos that I make, most people are from the diaspora outside India. So basically, the changes that you will see in conversation going forward until this block on conversations in India is removed is that I probably will not be doing any videos in Hindi and Urdu because the viewers in India primarily will not be able to watch this. So I will be concentrating more on, in fact, I'll be doing all my videos in English going forward. And so in that sense, it actually fulfills the original mission of the conversation, which was to educate my students, reach out to the policy community in the United States, my home country. So I think so there'll be that subtle change that you will see that all going forward, all conversations until the block in India. I've appealed, all the block in India is removed. There will be no Hindi or Urdu conversations. Everything will be in English. Yes, it's going to reduce viewership, but that's all right as long as the quality of viewers is high who are interested in serious discussions. And not just a jingoism. So that's going forward. And as you can see, I'm back in the United States after a 5-day trip to Hyderabad, my hometown. It was wonderful. I participated in the Bharat Summit. It was the biggest gathering of progressive thinkers and forces in the world, with participants from about 100 countries or 90 countries, with about 450 international participants, thousands of local people. I really had a very interesting time. I got to meet a lot of people who have been on the Conversations show, but I had never met personally, people on whose shows I have been frequently. And now I got a chance to meet with them. I met politicians. I met many professors who work on India, not just from India, but also from Europe. So it was a fantastic and a very useful trip for me. Who is, from an academic point of view, new to the social South Asian studies uh, program, or shall we say, the field of South Asian studies. So that was very interesting and beneficial. I want to thank the government of Telangana for inviting me and hosting me, for their generosity. So that is very, very useful. So I'm back in the US, happy. The semester is ending. And one more thing that I realized is that because my channel is blocked, I will probably be on other channels. So please watch me on Satya Hindi, on Ashtak, on the London Top, with other journalists, and so I will probably accepting all interviews, and so on those shows I will be speaking in Hindi and Urdu. So do keep in touch. I will be those videos that are not on the show, I will share them on my social media as well as on my Facebook, and also on the community section of Conversations. My ex, also my Twitter, formerly Twitter account, has also been blocked in India. And so the only way you can see the links that I share will be through the community channel if you come, for those of you who are overseas. So the videos that I do with other channels, I will try to share them also on my LinkedIn channel. So anyway, thank you for watching Conversations. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It's important, all the more important now, given the fact that the Modi government is targeting this channel. And it is actually a matter of pride. There are bigger channels like Dhruv Rathi with millions of viewers, Ravish Kumar, who has more viewers in a day than I get in an entire year. But the Modi government is not feeling threatened by these channel, and it's feeling threatened by Conversations, which gets 20 to 30,000 views, because of the quality of analysis that we have provided, that it has shaken the Modi government. So in that sense, I'm very happy and proud of that channel, that our analysis is so powerful that the mother of democracy decided to abandon democracy. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Take care.